fan of pro wrestling, comedy, and combat sports? Then we have the podcast for you, because we cover that and much, much more.
Do you like to debate with your friends? Do we have the perfect segment for you? It's the 531, where we take any given subject, break it down to a top 5. From there, we debate it down to 3, and then into that number 1 spot.
If you want to get a hold of us, find us on our social medias. Search Working Fans Podcast on any major social media platform. And if you want to find the podcast, search for us on any major podcast platform, as well as YouTube.
Working Fans Podcast. We put in the work so you don't have to.
How's it going, everyone? Closing out this first work week of October. Today's the 7th, and today we will be talking Wes Craven's New Nightmare. After this movie, we have 2 more films left in the Freddy series, and if you've been keeping up with this series of videos of Working Fans Presents Horror Business Episode 10, you know that I'm a little burned out on the Freddy movies, and the idea of this one was interesting. Wes Craven's New Nightmare runs an hour and 52 minutes, so a little longer than I've been liking in this series, but it is directed by Wes Craven, so that's a nice return to form. Came out in 1994, rated R, had a budget of $8 million estimated. Its opening weekend in U.S. In Canada, they did $6,667,118, coming out October 16th of 1994. Now, in the U.S. and Canada, this grossed $90,181. Excuse me. Worldwide, it grossed $19,721,741. Now, in this movie, it's nearing the 10th anniversary of the film A Nightmare on Elm Street, and one of the stars, Heather Langenkamp, is being scared by a voice on a phone sounding very similar to the film's villain, Freddy Krueger. When Heather's husband is killed in a car accident and is discovered with slash marks on him, Heather starts to wonder something, especially when she discovers that Wes Craven is writing another Nightmare film. Soon she realizes that Freddy is now entered the real world, and the only way to defeat him is to become Nancy Thompson again. This movie, I don't have a ton of thoughts on because I wasn't crazy about it. The longer runtime I found my attention wandering during it. And I think the heart of the Freddy films is really in the first 3 and in that 80s feel. Now, the major actors in this, Heather Langenkamp plays Heather Langenkamp, Robert Englund plays himself, J.F. Davis plays Freddy's hand double, Mike Hughes plays Dylan, Matt Winston plays Chuck, Ron the Bell Terry, David Newsom plays Chase Porter, Wes Craven plays himself, and it's this weird film that tries bordering like a reality or trying to make it as real as possible. Interesting idea for the film. I just felt burnt out on the series. Didn't do too much for me. And I felt it was a little too long. Now, IMDb rated this 6.4 out of 10. So not the worst movie in the series. And I think the different take on Freddy is maybe what saved it. I would give this one a watch, but realize it's probably going to do more for you if you're more of a Freddy Krueger fan. And if you're a fan of the Working Fans Podcast, then we are brought to you by the Pro Wrestling Vault and Lance by Chance, both written by Vinny Barry, available at WrestleVille.com. And all of the books I'm about to list off now are available on Amazon.com if you get them, including Super Vows and Pas de Deux, written by friend of the show, Kevin Kelton. I'll be here all week, and All That's Left, written by Ward Anderson, as well as his stand-up special. Blood and Fire, the unbelievable real-life story of wrestling's original Sheik, the newest book by Brian R. Solomon. How Not to Suck at Comedy, written by Pat Oates, and Matt Memories, written by John Arezzi and Greg Oliver. We're brought to you by the great people over at Connecticut People Records. If you're an artist looking for studio time in the Connecticut, New York area, check them out. They are amazing. And check out our wrestling commentary home of New Heights Wrestling, where almost every week they're releasing footage, catch up on all their old footage. Especially watch the last year, since Bound and Determined 2021. Dave and I have been on board as the commentary team, but even watch before that. There's some great in-ring action. Now, some fun, interesting trivia from this. In the film, Freddy is depicted much closer to what Wes Craven had originally intended for the character. Much more menacing, much less comical, with an updated attire and appearance. However, in 2015, before his death, he would admit he regretted changing his appearance and said, "If it ain't broke, don't fix it," which is why he kept Ghostface's mask the same in every Scream movie. I would say that the update was good. This Freddy needed something fresh at this point. Now, the events in this film revolve around Heather Langenkamp having a stalker. In real life, she did have a stalker, and Wes Craven got permission to use it or weave it into the story. Director Wes Craven had intended to ask Johnny Depp to make an appearance as himself in the funeral scene. Craven never worked up the courage to ask him, but after the film's release, they ran into each other. Craven asked Depp if he would have made an appearance in the movie, and Depp said that he would have, and that Craven should have asked him. That would have been an interesting cameo and bring it full circle, considering the first one was his first movie. Now, the basic premise of the film: Freddy invading the real world and haunting the actors and crew responsible for the movies, was originally intended to be used for Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors, inspired by the movie Return to Horror High, but that idea was rejected by the studio at the time. The film has no opening titles to blur the illusion of whether it's a film, a documentary, or something else altogether. And this film did feel different. I'll give it credit for trying to be different and trying to get that last little bit of life out of this. But by this point, I am happy to be done with this series. Tomorrow, I'll be covering Freddy versus Jason. And then Sunday the 9th, we'll be doing the remake. And then we'll get into a whole new week of movies, starting with the Twilight Zone movie, moving on to the Ring movie, and then ending with the Ouija movie. So stay tuned to us for more horror movie reviews this October. We'll be doing 31 or more. And thank you again for joining us. Like I said, every October we try and do something different for horror movies and for Halloween. And this is this year's take on it. So thank you for joining us, and let us know your favorite horror movies in the comments. Have a good night, and we'll